Shibi, there are two people on the group who are saying that they haven't received the link. I think it's Neha Sharma and Smita.
I've sent it to them.
Okay.
Wait for 2 to 3 minutes. So there's anybody else who would like to join us? Good afternoon, Lati ma'am. Glad that you're here. Neha has come. Good afternoon. Neha, you've joined? Neha ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Why is that, some of the emails bounce back and I'm not able to, send you the emails, whereas I send it just like how I send it to other people. Maybe some restrictions are there. Okay, so I think we are all set to go. I really do not have to introduce again because we're all from the same community of teachers and we know our resource person for the day. So let's start today's session. This is session 4 of learning collaboration. It's like a learning session from the classroom teachers to the classroom teachers. And this is the 4th in the series. And we welcome all of you who joined us today on a Sunday afternoon. For me, especially, it's a time when I have my lunch and I go for a nap because that's very important. And I really understand that it's difficult on Sundays. But then we are all enthusiastic learners and we make those little arrangements, little adjustments so that we could just come and improve upon our learning area. So today we have Meenu ma'am again, who would take us through the second part of the AI syllabus for grade 11 CBSE. And we will be talking about from unit 6 to 10. Yesterday we did unit 1 to 5. And today she'll be taking us towards unit 6 to 10. So as you know, Meenu ma'am is the head of the department Computer Science in Venkateshwara International School, Delhi. More than her designation, I think she is a real asset to her school, to her friends, and to the rest of us because she believes in sharing her knowledge with other people. And she had a tough time when she started, and she realized that, and that is why she volunteered to help us out as we start our journey. So welcome to the session for Meenu ma'am, and thank you so much for agreeing to do 2 sessions on a Saturday and a Sunday back to back. So I would not take anybody, any more time in wasting because she has a lot to cover today. I welcome all the teachers who have joined us today. Please remember, after the session, we have a feedback. Please do not get me wrong when I insist on giving feedbacks. There are 2 purposes for that. One, the resource person is able to know what was good, what needs improvement. Second, that's the least we can do for the person who has taken the session for us. So please make sure that when the feedback form is shared, you have time. You don't have to immediately fill it, but take your time and fill it before evening, before night, so that when I send across the resource person, the feedback form, there are no nulls, no's, none, words like that, please avoid. We are educators, and I'm sure that we all appreciate what is being, offered to us free of cost. Sometimes in life, we take things for granted, which is free of cost. That does not has a cost attached to it. We just take it for granted. So please, let's not go back to that category. This is for us and by us. So let's all collaborate and contribute. Over to you, Meenu ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shibi. Yesterday we were dealing with units 1 to 5, and that was also the introductory portion. Today, when I'm dealing with parts 6 to 10, this portion will be having a lot of emphasis and importance in class 12. So whenever you are teaching this portion, keep that in mind. Also, out of 6 to 10, now what happened was in units 1 to 5, we had 3 theory chapters and 2 practical chapters. But here, there are 3 practical chapters and 2 theory chapters, and the theory portion is also quite a bit. So you will have to do a little bit of research work, especially in the theory chapters also. So we start with unit 6, that is creative and critical thinking. Now, other than the portion on creative and critical thinking, they have emphasized on design thinking framework, the 5W and 1H problem statement identifying framework, and then also how to write down the problem statement and the ideate part of design thinking. Now, I'll tell you why the ideate part is important. So there is not much in the book also regarding creative and critical thinking. It is just an introduction. After that, you have to come to the design thinking part. Now, design thinking, I think most of you must be knowing about it. There's a lot of emphasis now on using design thinking to solve any kind of problem, whether it be any SDG or AI. You just pick up a problem, and then using design thinking, you try and solve that problem. So there are lots of stages in design thinking, and these are the stages that I have emphasized. So you will have to tell the students about all these parts. You can also give them questions. There's a lot of resource material on the net for this, and they must be very, very comfortable with all parts, because when we're talking about project in class 12, so they'll have to use this design thinking ideology to give their project. So initially you could talk to them about empathize. That is one of the most important parts, because then you are taking information from the user. You actually doing the data labeling part in the emphasize and the define part. So here you taking information from the user, filtering out the data, keeping what is the important part and what is not the important part. So you can talk to them about emphasize and define. In class 11 especially, we are supposed to do a small project. I will also talk to you about that at the end of the session. So that is why the empathize part will become important. Also, once they have decided upon a problem statement, for example, so how to develop that problem statement. So using this would be used 5Ws and 1H. So 5Ws and 1H consists of, as you can see, who, what, when, where, why, and how. So you can take up any question, like, for example, you want to talk about how air pollution is making lives difficult for everyone. So define the problem statement using this. Harmeet's book I had gone through for this particular topic, and it uses the 5W and 1H very nicely and explains it very nicely. She's also given very beautiful examples. So you can also go through that book. I've tried to give you problem statements here. So if you see, we've given something like identify a theme which can be classified as a social problem, create a problem canvas for it using 5W and 1H. So if suppose, like I had taken the idea of using air pollution for using 5W1H to define that. I think somebody wants to enter, Shivi.
I had let everybody in. I can't see anyone waiting. Is there anyone waiting? Minu ma'am, can you see someone waiting?
I think it is showing that Uma Nair entered the waiting room.
Yeah. Oh, ma'am entered the waiting room. Okay, I'll just see. Okay, carry on, Minu ma'am. I'll just see. Is the screen frozen for me or for everybody?
Hello?
Yeah, Minu ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
you're now audible.
Okay.
For a second, it was frozen.
Okay, okay. So suppose I take up the same thing, your air pollution. So you could say, like, if you use who, so you are asking about a person. For example, who is the one who is getting affected by air pollution? So you could say everybody. Then what? So like this, you keep defining your problem statement. So what would be asking the information? So what is this air pollution all about? So air pollution is because of the fuels that are released in the air due to, could be the gas emissions from the car, could be the gas emissions from other factory units. So like that, when does it take place? All the time. Where does it take place? Everywhere, especially you could say cities, and where there are more factories. Why? Because obviously people need to travel from one place to another. So this is how you define your problem statement. This is one method. Students have to do this very rigorously. You have to give them ample practice, because in class 12, when they are filling up the logbook, they have to use this methodology to give the problem statement. It is there in the logbook. And then of course design thinking also, I had done this question with my students, that using design thinking, give a solution to the problem of creating a better toothbrush. So we actually sat and analyzed the features of different brands of toothbrush. We had taken up Oral-B and Colgate, and we had analyzed, and then we had jotted down that what could be made better into it. So in India, there is actually right now, we don't have, or probably every place does not have an automatic toothbrush where you just switch it on and it starts moving on its own. So students had come up with that idea that we are now in that phase that we can have such brands everywhere. So talk to them, they will have lots of ideas on such kinds of questions. If you need to read more material, then this is also one link I have given. You can read about design thinking and how to make changes in the kitchen using this design thinking problem ideology. So this gives very good reading material. So you can use this. Then I come to data analysis. This is chapter 7. This has lots of statistics in it. So you will have to talk to students about structured data, which is date and time, string, categorical, representation of data in terms of graphs. Now, when you're talking about graphs, please give special attention to scatter plot and bar chart, because they will be using scatter plot in the next chapter when I come to regression. So they must know how to grasp data or analyze a scatter plot and take out data from it, or understand the content of what the graph is saying. So like I told you, when you talking about analyzing a graph and developing a story, so this starts from there. So then it comes here, and by this time your student should be able to analyze the graph, and from there we'll then go to regression. Also, we have mode, median, and mean here. These are very simple concepts. Only the simple part is given here. We also have in statistics the discrete series and different types of series. It is not mentioned in the book, so it is not necessary that you also do it. Also, I can give you another hint that this is also chapter number, the last but the one chapter in class 11th, maths. So if you talk to your maths teacher, probably you could do this chapter a little later, so that by that time students have already done it in maths. So as it is mean, median, mode, and they've already done in class 10. So they will have a fairly good idea about it. Variance and standard deviation, there are ample information and examples on the net. So you can go through this. This also comes in chapter 3, maths and AI. So I did not do this topic there. I do it together in unit 7. So again, it's up to you how you want to go about it. You will also be talking about ordinal data, nominal data here in this chapter. So there's a lot of things to be covered. Graphs, I would request you again, give special emphasis to scatter plot and bar charts. So now we come to unit 8. This is regression. I will be taking a little time to explain regression, because this is one chapter which will give the emphasis on the project for class 12, so that students understand that this is one of the algorithms that we use in supervised learning. And this is a very interesting chapter. I did a lot of research work in this chapter, so there are a lot of things that I understood and I came to know. So they will be, students will be given something like a scatter plot like this. Okay, initially I used to give them the scatter plot, and from there they used to do the analyzing. Then later on, of course, I brought them to that level where they are developing their own scatter plots, and it's not difficult. They already know how to make a scatter plot from class 10. So you will not have that much of difficulty. These are the topics that you have to cover. You will be doing correlation and regression, crosstabs and scatter plots, Pearson's R, finding the line. This is the line of best fit, which is, this line is called the line of best fit. So we are talking about this line, describing the line, how good is the line. So you have to analyze and then give your own answers to it. And then correlation is not causation. This is also one topic in it. So as I told you, when we're talking about regression, regression is a algorithm for supervised learning. Now there are two types of regression. Linear regression and logistic regression. In your syllabus in class 11th AI, you have linear regression, but I would suggest that you also talk to them about logistic regression, because when they do their project, not many problems can be solved using linear regression. The reason being that linear regression always works with two variables. Okay, and it will always predict a numerical value. But logistic regression, in the real world, it is not necessary that we are working with only this thing, numerical data. We will be working with character data. We will be working with date and time. So that is why I do talk to them about logistic regression. Logistic regression handles the other types of data. So you must tell them at least this. Otherwise, studying part, linear regression is there. Okay, so there are linear regression is an algorithm used to predict or visualize a relationship between two different variables. Okay, and there are the two types of variables. One is the dependent variable and the other is the independent variable. So using the information, if you are giving a question, so they have to draw this line. So this line is called the line of best fit, and the method that we are using, the method that is given in the book also, is the least squares method. We also call it the least squares regression method. Okay, so and the part where it touches your y-axis, this is your y-axis, this is your x-axis. I hope everybody knows that. So the part where it touches the y-axis is called the intercept. This is all part of statistics. So if your child has done a little bit of eco, he or she would be knowing it. Otherwise, you'll have to explain it to the children. And this is the slope of the line. So both the intercept and the slope do have special meaning in regression. We will also see what are the different types of questions that you can ask the students. So this will be the graph that you most probably will be getting. What happens is, what is the least squares method? When you plot the graph and you draw this, find out this line, which is the line of best fit. This line of best fit means that the distance of each point to this line is minimum. So that is why it's called the line of best fit. And that is why this method is also known as the least squares regression method. Okay, so when you, these are the various videos I had, and they explain this method very nicely. So you can go through these videos to understand this concept. And then of course, what are the kind of questions you can give? Now you can give them direct questions that this is the data I'm giving you, find the line of best fit. Or you can also give them certain application based questions. I've given you some examples here. Like this was a very simple question I asked them, which of the following is a regression task? So here you can see we will be having only the first option because this is a numeric value. The rest may or may not be a numeric value. So when it is not a numeric value, then it is not linear regression. Next is, now here you give them a question where you already give them the graph, the equation that you find for the graph. When you give them this graph, you give them an equation, y is equal to a plus bx. So this is the equation that you get out of this line. So they will be dealing with this equation and then obviously finding out the relationship between the two variables using this equation only. So here, like I've given one question. Suppose that a research group tested the cholesterol level of a sample of 40-year women and then waited many years to see the relationship between the woman's cholesterol level and her age of death, at which age she died. And the equation of this regression line was found to be so and so. Okay, so interpret the slope of the regression line in the context of the study. So here, if you can see the line, you have a positive relation here. It's a plus. whereas here you have a minus. So that means it's a negative relation that we have here. So the slope of the regression line, this is given in the book, so you need not worry that how do I explain it to them. This example is given in the book. The equation is given in the book, sorry. The slope is equal to rise upon run. So you will have minus 0.3, okay, and then run is your 1 because it is 1 unit. You are taking 1 unit on the graph. So that is the way you analyze. So you can say the rise in the change in y, and y represents the age of death. Since the slope is negative, the numerator indicates a decrease in lifespan. So as the cholesterol increases, the lifespan of the lady decreases. So this is how you can find out the relations. There are ample questions on the net. You just put down questions on regression and give a Google search and you will get the question. This is also one question I took up from Google only. A biologist is comparing the intervals between mating calls of a certain species of tree frog and the surrounding temperature. The following results were obtained. Now here I've given them a direct question that you find the equation of the regression line and then give it in the form of m is equal to a plus bt. The entire formula is given in the book. That is why I said this chapter will have a little bit of calculation. So they have to sit and calculate. So my only request, because I spoke to the maths teacher, she told me, she said, when you give these values, because they have to find the squares and then the square roots. So there's a lot of calculation involved in this particular question, this type of question, when you're asking them to find out the line of best fit. So what she said was, she said you try and give them smaller values because then the calculation takes longer time, and then obviously children would be making more mistakes. So keep that in mind when you are doing this chapter with them. Also, we have something called as Pearson coefficient. This will be giving you a measure of the linear association, the graph that you're getting it. So this will tell you whether you're getting a positive relationship or you're getting a negative relationship. This video link I've given, this explains it very beautifully. You can either give the same explanation in your class, or you could play this video. This will do the work for you because this really explains it very well. Then I come to unit 9, that is classification and clustering. Now, classification, like I told yesterday, it is a type of supervised learning algorithm. It is working with labeled data. So you will be categorizing your data into two parts, disease or no disease, for example, spam or not spam, if you're talking about emails. So that is what is classification. The best example I can give you, you have a pile of fruits. So you classifying, these are apples, these are oranges, these are mangoes. So that is also your classification. In classification, we have the confusion matrix. Now, teachers who are already teaching AI in class 9th, 10th, they would be knowing what exactly is a confusion matrix. Confusion matrix is what actually tells you how good your model is. So these two values, these are the true positives and these are the true negatives. If these are good, that means your model is working well. Okay, so you have to, the questions are given in the book, you have to make them create a confusion matrix. Okay, these are the various links of the videos that I had gone through. Also questions that you can ask them. You can ask them about precision, recall. It is again, the formulas are given in the book, so you will not have any problem. Do talk to them that every model can be having its own confusion matrix. So if you're using neural network, the predictions made by the neural network will have its own confusion matrix. If you're using regression, logarithmic regression, then that also will have its own confusion matrix. So one of these videos I think talks about that also, that if you're using different models, then confusion matrix is the one which gives you a clear idea of how well your model is faring, how well it is making predictions. Because if you have a good value of true positives and a good value of true negatives, that means it's predicting correctly. Okay, so this is one thing you need to do. Then we come to clustering. Now, fortunately, you don't have to do any kind of calculations in clustering. It is more of the algorithm that is there in the syllabus. So I would suggest clustering actually is an unsupervised learning algorithm, and it tries to find a pattern in the collection of unlabeled data. So you already have data in it, and you all can't, you have to try and find the pattern in that data. So like I told you yesterday, we have the Amazon recommender system, that a person shopped for certain things and then they give you recommendations. Since you shopped for this thing, other people who were looking at this product were also looking at similar products. So that is why they give you recommendations. So clustering actually is used by the recommendation system. I would suggest let them see the videos first, because these videos give them very good example. It is explaining with animation, and then explain the algorithm to them, because once when you are explaining the algorithm, you actually can't do clustering on the board and then teach it to them, whether you're using the online board or you're using your Blackboard when the schools reopen. So try and use the animation given in the videos so that they get an idea, and then explain the algorithm. Then after these two heavy chapters, let me tell you, unit 10 was like a walkthrough for me, because this was one of my favorite topics also, and this was an easy one, and there were lots of videos that I got on this chapter. So I covered most of this chapter through videos only. This talks about AI values, especially AI working for good. There are also 2-3 links given in the chapter itself, so you can go through those links, and principles for ethical AI. So you talk to them about the 4 stages of ethical AI, that how it becomes a vicious cycle. We are all products of our environment, so we are already having any kind of bias in us. For it could be a very simple bias, like on Tuesday we will not have non-veg. That itself is a bias. So how difficult it is for a programmer to not introduce bias in the algorithm that he or she is developing for AI. So you have this video, then you could give them real life examples. I always do this with my students. Whenever I find a real life example of anything in AI, especially AI bias, then I talk to them. This, everybody knows Amazon's automated hiring tool was gender bias. This is something that my students did not know about. This happened in the Marriott Hotel, and this was called the racist soap dispenser, because it would dispense soap when it saw a fair skinned hand, and a darker hand it would not dispense soap. So there was a huge cry, hue and cry against this, and of course it was removed. So you can talk to them about such real life examples. They will understand how bias creeps into your algorithm, and how important it is that AI should not be biased. You can watch this video. This is a very good video about this lady who is having dark skin, and she was working on the software, and the software could not recognize the darker skin tone people. So because the programmers had already encoded it with had tested it with fair skin people. So that is how she talks very well, explaining how she is now working with companies to try and fight bringing bias into machine learning. So you can talk to them how now companies are devising AI which will check other bias in AI. So it is how AI checking on AI. So you can talk to them about it. This is a very nice video where she talks about all her entire journey also. And yes, this finishes 6 to 10. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. There is one project that they have to do at the end of 6 to 10, and they have to use any local problem. They can define any local problem, and they have to do it till the ideate part of design thinking. But I would suggest, since you are going till the ideate part, if they are using something like regression, let them do it. Let them make the graph and the line of bed space in at least Excel. Though they have to do this manually, but let them do it in Excel so that they have a fair idea of how to go about it, so that in class 12 they know how to go about a project. Let them sit and write the entire ideate part, the emphasis, what questionnaire they were asking the other person. So let them do that, and afterwards then of course they can collaborate and come up with some good ideas. So any questions from your side?
Ma'am, my first question is, you were continuously referring to a book, that you were telling that we can refer to a book. Which book were you?
Actually, when I started, I told this yesterday also, when I started studying AI, there weren't any books in the market except for Harmeet's class 9. I started with her class 9 book. on AI. So certain concepts are very well explained in the book. So that became my Bible. So again, other obviously class 9 syllabus and class 11 syllabus, there's a huge gap. So certain concepts are there, like neural network. The 3 layers are very well explained in that book. The 5W1H problem that I told you about, the examples are very good in her book. So you can go through the book, but ultimately there is a huge difference in class 9 and class 11. So you can refer her book, but you will ultimately have to come down to Google and start researching on your own.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Next question is, suppose the schools reopen after 6 months. Now, AI is taught very easily using the laptop, sitting at our home. We can go to YouTube and we can show everything. Tell the children to play the game along with us. So, suppose if the schools are opening after 6-7 months, how do we go about this in the classroom? How to do?
See, what happens is I have a projector in my lab. So if you could do something like this, if you have less number of children, like in one school I used to work with, I had less number of children. So whenever I used to give a demo, I used to make them crowd around one single computer, and there I would give them the demo. So you are the teacher, you will have to be a little resourceful and you will have to think about it. You could use the auditorium if you have the projector in the auditorium. So you could show them the videos there. Certain videos you can let them see at home. Give them the link, show them in school, but give them the link so that if they want to see it again, they can see it again at home. I do this even now. I show them the videos and I give the link to them, because 10 days later, if they want to study the concept again, at least the video is there with them.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. May I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Divya. So I was wondering, in grade 11 and 12, you mentioned about the students should do a project, right? Just like any other subject. Can you show us any of the completed project which your children have done?
I think I should have the project in my mail. I will share it on the group, what my students did. What I did was I made them make a PPT explaining the process that they undertook. So they took up an idea that one of my students came up with a very nice idea that he would make a small necklace for ladies who had high blood pressure, and the necklace would have sensors and they would emit sound as soon as the blood pressure went above a certain level. So I'll see if I still have that project in my mail. I will share it with you so that you get an idea what is to be done.
So the project is basically on the design thinking concept.
Yes, completely. 11th also, 12th also.
So ma'am, do you have any Python program which implements any of the algorithms which you mentioned?
Ma'am, the 12th class book has come. So I'm still studying that. So give me some time, then I'll answer this question better.
Okay, ma'am. Sorry. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Ma'am, could you explain about rewards and reinforcement algorithm?
Yeah, reinforcement learning is basically reward and punishment. So it is something like your game-based competitions. When their AI is used, this reinforcement learning is used. So if you remember, Deep Blue had defeated Gary Kasparov.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this reinforcement learning is used there. So the machine also learns. If obviously the machine uses a wrong move, then the machine is losing the game. So this is like the reward and punishment system. So the machine then learns that I made a wrong move and therefore I lost the game. So next time I will not make this move. So that is how this goes. There's a whole big decision tree that the machine makes. If you want, you can Google this concept. The decision tree examples are given when you Google it.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can you explain an example for the regression, ma'am? I think regression works on the continuous data. Can you explain with a simple example, ma'am?
If you can see the PPT, sir, I've given examples there. It works with two variables. So if you see, it can work on any simple thing like this one, where I am talking about, the difference between the mating call of a special species and the surrounding temperature. So how the temperature is differing and the mating call is different. So this could be a study under your regression. The other thing that I gave was a 40-year-old women. They were studied and their cholesterol level were noted down, and then the age of deaths were noted down, and then of course this regression line was noted. So regression, any two variables which are dependent on each other, you can talk about regression on this. Is my screen shared? Sorry.
No. It's not shared.
Okay. Sorry. I'll just share my screen and then I'll show it to you. Yeah, so can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So here, if you see, they've done research on the cholesterol level of 40-year-old women, and they've noted the cholesterol level and the age of her death. So this is how you can have one regression. Regression works with places where you have two variables dependent on each other. Here, if you see, it is the time interval and the mating call of a certain species of tree frog. So if you see, sorry, not the time interval, the temperature. So as the temperature is differing, the mating call is also, the length of the mating call is also different. So just study on the net, you will get lots of examples also.
Ma'am, shall we consider the variables happiness and income for the regression data set, ma'am?
Yes, I gave one question to my students where I talked about the number of hours I was resting and my grades. So the more number of hours I was resting, and so my grades were going down. It was linearly.
The more number of income means we have more number of happiness.
I would not agree to this because there are other factors also. But yes, for a starting question, you can give them to the students.
Thank you,
ma'am. May I?
Yes.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. There was an example which I used for my students to explain the concept of the linear regression. Let's say where there is a farmer who has a big plot of, let's say, any crop. So in 1 year, whatever crop he is cultivating, the profit he is getting from that particular plot, he is marking it. Across over the course of the year, maybe 2 or 3 years of time, we are marking the profit we are getting from the plot, and we are making a prediction. So next year, this is a profit which I am going to get. But there are several factors which is going to affect the result.
Ma'am, what happens is regression works on two variables only. So here you will have to narrow down what your two variables are. Because what you are talking about, this can go towards logistic regression also. There are lots of factors for crop yielding. Okay. It can also go towards the k-means also. Okay. K-means or KNN also. So it depends how you're taking up. See, prediction of your the amount of crops, this can be different if you're taking all factors. If you're taking all factors, then it does not come under linear regression, because linear regression will take up only two variables.
All right, ma'am. Okay, so that is
so
because
you could talk to them about the number of hard work that the farmer has put in and the crop yield, or you could talk to them about the amount of rainfall and the crop yield. So only two variables, because in a graph you can plot only two variables.
True, ma'am. Since we 9th and 10th graders, we don't have to go into much deeper. What I just mentioned is there can be several factors, and due to this, the result may not fall in the best line we predict. There can be deviation from the line. So the logical the regression factor can be implemented in this scenario. But thank you, ma'am. Thank you for clarifying.
May I, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, can you just guide us like how the 50 marks of practical would be divided in class
11th
and 12th? Both, I should say 11th and 12th.
Class 12th, it is given in the syllabus, so you can go through the syllabus. Class 11th, actually, not much is given, but what you can do is like for the half yearly, since I had already developed the chatbot with them, so I had asked them to make a small chatbot. Okay, and then for the entire year, you could give them story writing. And then there are lots of things, because it's a 50 marks, so you can take a 2-hour practical. So you can ask them to do lots of things. You can give them a graph, let them analyze the graph and write a story about it. Give them the regression line graph, and then ask them to analyze from the graph and answer certain questions. And so lots of things that you can give them. Talk to, let them make a small presentation about ethics in AI. You can do that also.
Means there is no set format for it. Anything we could have.
See, class 11th, as it is in other subjects also, there's no set format. You can do whatever you want in class 11th. And only thing is, try that your students know all the basics, so that once they come to class 12, they at least have not forgotten the basics.
Okay. And for 12th?
12th, ma'am, if you study the logbook, the project logbook, you'll have to concentrate on the project logbook. That will take a lot of time because it's a 50 marks project logbook. There's lots of data that we need to fill them. We have to fill dates when you put up the questions to the user, what was the date of the questionnaire, when you started working on the project code, when you gave the project code for testing, lots of things to be added in it. So that will take time. So class 12 would be mostly devoted to your project only.
Okay.
See, project, do not think of AI project in terms of only coding. कि मैंने एक question उठाया, picked up that question. I have two variables. I have to make a regression model in it. This is the coding I do. This is the graph I do. That is not the AI project, and that is not the work of the design thinking ideology. Also, design thinking means you have to devote a lot of time on empathize and ideate. That means you have to collect data. Then you ideate that how well it will be able to solve my problem, whatever solution I am giving. So lots of things go into design thinking. Keep that in mind. Do not think only about the coding part. Coding part is quite small. If you see the project logbook, more is the what you can say, even in the real world, we devote a lot of time in the designing process, in the thinking process. So the same thing applies here. Let them think how well they can develop the product or whatever project they are picking up. Code you can pick up from the net also. Code, even if they make it in Excel, that will be acceptable. If they make a small website and explain the data domain of AI, whatever data you suppose you're taking up, the deaths which happened in wave 1 and the deaths which happened in wave 2, and you're trying to draw a graph in that, and you make a small website on it. So that will also work. But how you're going about it and how you're incorporating AI, the journey you will have to show in the logbook.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Ma'am, Harmeet ma'am would like to give an example. So
yes, please do so, Harmeet.
I don't know. I'm on my phone, whether I will be able to share it from here or not. Let me just try. So you will probably first of all have to give me the sharing rights, probably.
Yes, you can. You can share now.
Can I share it from the phone? I don't know whether it's going to open or not, but I'll still try. Okay. So screen. Okay. Can you see my?
Not yet.
No.
Can you see something?
No.
Okay. So how do I do it? This is a here I have a challenge. I need to share a Google Doc here.
It's a Google Docs. Can you send it to me in the WhatsApp? I'll download and share it from my screen. Is that okay?
Should be actually that is actually a part of that is actually the part of a book actually right now, so I cannot share that. It being publisher's material. I don't know how to. Okay, just give me a second. I'll just try and share it from Google Drive itself. Give me 1 second. It's just trying to.
No problem.
In the meantime, you can answer some questions.
While you are.
Yeah. Anybody else has any questions?
You can answer some questions.
Ma'am, I have a question. Like when we start grade 11, see, we have part A and we have unit 1 to unit 10, right? So where do we start initially? What all are the chapters you would suggest for a grade 11 teacher to start with in AI, so that the children...
Go sequentially, other than maths in AI, because I told you there was the set theory is there and they already had that chapter in maths. So probably you can talk to your maths teacher and delay that a little bit. Otherwise, go sequentially.
So we'll take part A first and then we will move on to unit
because
1.
You have to give them an introduction. So unit 1, obviously you will have to do with them first.
Yes.
When you do the last chapter, you've already covered most of it in ethics in AI in unit 1. So the last chapter, unit 10, will not be difficult for you. Like I told you, after doing these two heavy chapters, 8 and 9, this was a very nice walkthrough. So maximum, I showed them the videos only.
Okay, ma'am. So, and as you said that we will not have much of, restrictions as far as the practicals in grade 11 are concerned. So we are free to give them relevant projects from the topic or from the domain that they have learned, where they can implement what they have learned, right? For grade 11.
Shivi, it is not even necessary that you give them the projects. I did not give them the projects.
Okay.
My students came up with their own ideas. One of the girls in my group, she talked about giving equal importance to the transgender. So I asked her, how will you use AI to solve this problem? So she had talked about this, and I said, if you can make this into a project, it would be a very good reference material also, so that I can show it to my other students also. So they will come up with ideas. You just throw out the ideas to them, and they will, I'm telling you, they will take you on a very nice journey.
So the idea basically for an AI educator is to do a thorough research, prepare yourself in the topics and understanding, and lead your children in exploring the concept, just like Divya always insists that you take them together with you, so that together you can explore all the topics. So there are topics where we get stuck, they help us. There are topics where we help them out and tell them, okay, this could be done like that. So it is going to be a pure collaborative learning. So as an AI educator, I believe now we have to shift our thinking also a bit, because from years we have been following some syllabus. I think to 15 years we taught them C++ and Java. We were tired of it. I'm so grateful to CBSE. They changed the syllabus, made it into Python. So again, we started learning about it. Now we are there, we are learning Python and we are teaching Python, we are comfortable. Now again, a challenge has come our way, which is about artificial intelligence, and it is going to affect our lives in every possible way. So all the educators must keep in mind that the syllabus is there for reference. So we can refer the syllabus, and then we are free to, plan our lessons or get contents, right? And there are, and I don't remember who was it, and if that person is present here, there was a teacher who was checking out if there are some courses on AI where you can get certification, because there are now schools asking for certifications, like, are you well versed with AI?
I had shown the links of the courses yesterday. All the courses mentioned in the web, the links that I had given yesterday. I think that is just page 2 of my PPT, yesterday's PPT. There are all certifications courses. So once you do those courses, you will get the certificates also.
So I think, there are these courses which we can take up, which would also help us to explore further beyond what is there in the syllabus. Yes, Ritu ma'am, you've been raising your hand for quite some time. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I had this question, like in class 12th, when you, when the children start with the project, after they've done the design thinking part, now in the logbook, there is a mention of the tool which the students have used. So is it necessary to be Python, or it can be any online portal to complete the project?
No, it can be anything. This I can tell you, I had asked Harmeet only, and Harmeet had also said that it can be anything. It's not necessary that you have to stick to Python.
So that means,
so that's why I told you, if you do not take up, say, machine learning part, see, there are lots of domains in AI. One is the data domain also. So if you take up data, like the example I gave you, taking the number of deaths in the first wave and the number of deaths in the second wave, suppose. Okay, so, and you try and build up your website on this data. So you're taking only the data part, then you're using HTML. And probably you can give some graphs in it.
So suppose we're using computer vision, then we can use any tool like Teachable Machine or anything for the
yeah. But I would suggest let them do a little bit of research work. Teachable Machine doesn't have too much of research work.
Once the project
you could use Teachable Machine as one of the tools.
Yeah, just to make a prototype. Otherwise, research is done.
You could use it as one of the tools. You could have them develop a chatbot on IBM Watson. So like this, so at least it would be a good project.
So that means AI still doesn't let the child explore the Python modules, the strength of the language. It's mostly the concept.
No, ma'am, in class 12, the first chapter, there is coding there. If you study the course material that has been given by CBSE, it does have coding there. You'll have to teach that part to students. And it's quite complex. I am still.
That's what I was wondering actually. The moment
could be that once I do it, I might find it easy, but right now it's a little complex to be.
Yeah, because what I understand, the moment you start with regression, you need to have a thorough understanding of NumPy and Pandas and data frames, how to.
No, if you're talking about the concept part, then you don't need it for class 11.
But if you're
doing it, you could try once you've gone through class 11, then probably Shibi, we can have a session on Orange Data Miner. This is one tool that I've learned in Global Teacher Academy. So it's a very nice tool of visualizing the what do you say, your AI process. So I could show them that, I could show you that, so that you also show it to your students that how, you know, AI, you are actually working on AI using the various algorithms.
Yes, yes, definitely,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
We can have that another session based on that. And
This
yes,
would be a
Harmeet
little
ma'am.
later once the teachers have gone through the syllabus,
Yes.
then only we can have this.
Yes, yes. Harmeet ma'am, we can see your screen.
Yeah.
Oh, अरे इतनी मुश्किल से तो शेयर हुआ था फिर
We could see something on the screen coming.
Just give me 1 second. I'll just try again. Just give me 1 second. Can you see it now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so can you see the document now on the screen?
Yeah. Credit card fraud.
Yes. So this is. I'll just change the dimension this way. So basically, I have commerce students with me also, and for learning about computer science. So this is about a project that they. So just like the Meenu was just talking about the data domain, right? So at that point of time, I basically asked them to just centralize and design their own mind map of how exactly the whole project will look like. So you need to have what exactly. So basically for them, for commerce students, the thing is that they need to understand that. So the different stages of the W that we talked about. Somebody was asking about how we can make use of different different algorithms that you are using. So different algorithms were utilized for designing this. What were the metrics? I'm just not going to bore you with this. But then there was a lot of understanding about the profiling report and different maps that were utilized for working with this. So and then comparing which algorithm worked best on the data set, looking at the evaluation sectors. So this was possible because they were able to understand about, they did a lot of work with me in Python. So this is what the final classification report also looks like. But then this is a project which comes with a conversation related to a separate stream. So if I'm looking at a project which was done for a commerce student, was more from the fact that he is further going to work in the field of data science and AI. So what the biggest mistake that most of the people understand is that and even for that matter, the management also thinks is that, AI means it's a robot. And trust me, it's not a robot. There's a difference between AI and IoT. Basic difference is IoT. So yes, for AI project, we do pick up data from the sensors, but then sensor development and usage of electronics for that matter is a different field altogether. They're only sharing the data and flowing into the system, and then with system we are trying to predict what is the possibility. So we look at the empirical data, like for example, the predictions that we are looking at, that the third wave is going to hit us in the month of October, and we have to be ready for that. And what are the things, like, so many examples. I really loved your example, Meenu, when you talked about that wood brush. It was very exciting. In fact, there was one example you also mentioned was the prediction of looking at the UFOs. So we must get them, excited about something. And it is not necessary that we just have to look at some project which is made in, is made in Python. So if you are having science students and they are already attuned to better mathematics and they have that particular subject, why not let them go ahead? If they have a subject like humanities, or if they have subjects like commerce, then hit them with the fields which they are working in the different subjects. For example, this particular child had made this project because he's already got 6 subjects. He's got economics, maths, and computer science. So he just mixed up everything and made a very beautiful animation about it. Also, he made a very beautiful project for this business studies and all these things. So my conversation pertaining over here comes to the project. So another thing what Meenu was talking about was the one more thing I wanted to show you guys was this. So my recommendation to you also is, like, when you're talking so I would recommend, if you do a lot of writing, if you have those examples, try and write on different blogs. Okay, try and write on different blogs, try and, whatever topics you want to give them, tell them to, so if you are learning and if you are trying to share your knowledge with them, it is best that, you write things like on Towards Data Science Analytics Vidya or on Medium, and then share your experience with them, get them excited about it. That's very much important. So this would definitely be my point, where I'm just going to stop talking because I know I'm stealing the show from you, Meenu. I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to open them up for what thanks. So sorry.
So
It's just that, when you see somebody else as excited as you are about a particular topic, the enthusiasm, I think, is infectious to all of us. This is the only one infection where I really don't want to, wear a mask for that.
yeah, very,
No,
very.
I'll tell you, Harmeet, when I started, I was really skeptical about this subject because AI, like everybody is like, robotics padhana padega, and it is going to be one of the toughest subjects. But once I started studying, it was so exciting, and I read a lot about it. So now if people ask me, I said, no, it is not so tough. It's just that you have to work like any other subject and you understand it. Yes, it involves something like statistics and maths. We already have that mental block against maths. So you have to go against it. So I tried, inverse, I accept it openly that I did not know the concept of inverse. I had studied it in class 11, 12, I had forgotten. So I approached my maths teacher, asked her to teach it. And being a technology teacher, I recorded her lesson so that in the next sessions, coming
didn't we used to do this for Boolean algebra? We used to call our mathematics teachers and physics teachers for teaching the concept of circuits, and for Boolean algebra for computer science when we used to do it. So
I used to ask my physics teacher to teach me first so that I can teach my students.
So integration is all there.
And be open to asking for help. It does not matter if you're asking, the other teachers also come to you to learn about apps. You can also ask them about this particular subject.
Maybe one of the weekends down the month of June or July, probably we can have a more session just regarding how to design a project. That would probably be helpful for everyone.
Yes, I would love that because I'm doing class 12. I would really love that.
Okay, Shri, we can lock on this one at least.
Yes.
I missed that small part of it. I didn't read completely. Meenu ma'am, what was that Harmeet ma'am said?
Ma'am said that we can have a discussion on how to do the project. So being a class 12 teacher, I would really want that.
Yes, because I saw a chat box, a comment where the teachers were saying that they have learned a lot about coding. Sorry, they have learned a lot about theoretical from all the webinars. Now they would like to have some hands-on. So I think once we get started, then probably we can arrange a session, because you need to understand the theory thoroughly, and then only you can move on to the practical side of it. Then we will definitely have hands-on session. Thank you so much for offering. Anybody else who would like? I'm loving the discussion that we are having here. Rather than a question answer session, this has evolved into a discussion forum, which is a very, very healthy thing to do. So anybody else who would like to ask any questions? Anyone who would like to ask any questions, please unmute and ask. Don't bother to type. Please unmute and ask questions if you have.
Ma'am, should we teach them how to plot a regression graph or something like that, or only the concept of regression?
No, you can teach them the plotting part also. They already know it. How to make a scatter plot. They have done that in class 10 because I had asked my students that if you want, I can teach this part also. But they said we already know how to make a scatter plot. How to analyze the scatter plot and find out the line of best fit, that you will have to teach them.
No, you are telling that students know how to plot a scatter plot, like in which
on the graph paper. On the graph paper.
In mathematics, you are telling?
Yes, they have done it in 9th and 10th. They have done that. Otherwise, the videos that I have shown you, that also teaches that. How to plot a scatter plot and how to find the line of best fit from that.
Okay, ma'am.
Make them do one exercise using going through the entire process, plotting the graph, finding the line of best fit. And then, you can give them a further question that now you found the line of best fit. Now find out the what this person will, do the prediction, whatever data you're taking. For example, you're taking that data that I took, the lady, 40-year-old lady and age of death. So then you can ask them to predict that at this age, at this cholesterol level, can you predict her age of death? That is bad.
Okay,
but I took that example. So Okay.
Okay. Can we suggest those P-Tech courses by IBM for the students?
Smita, have you gone through my slides, yesterday's slides?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So the second slide mentions the courses.
Okay. Okay.
There's one on PTM, there's one on Mindspark, there's on Coursera. So you can go through these courses, they are good.
Okay. No, we can suggest the children also to take up these courses, right?
You use the material of these courses to teach the students.
Okay.
Don't let them do the courses. You do it yourself.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
There is one more suggestion, like somebody is asking about courses for students. I hope you guys have asked your students to sign up for the CBSE AI community, student community.
Yes.
If they have signed up over there, they do a session every day with children at 4 p.m. So that's a very good thing. Like they have their boot camps also, and they can actually learn a lot. And there are forums. There are students that are actually doing a lot of great work. There are projects over there that you can utilize and see it over there. So that's a very good resource for students at least to sign up.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I'll follow up this with my students then.
Yeah, it is a brilliant suggestion. AI community that CBSE has offered. It's for the students also, and teachers can also.
Teachers also.
So I think as
teachers is yet to come up. Teachers is still under development, but I think students is already done.
Yeah.
Okay.
AIstudent.community. They can sign up with their email IDs and they can attend the different sessions on different domains of AI. And this is done by AI for Youth. So, and they can also follow it on social media. In fact, you guys can also follow it on social media. Very nicely maintained.
Okay, ma'am. Someone has posted a question. See, forgive my ignorance. I don't know what PTEC stands for. Should we make accounts?
P-Tech.
P-Tech stands. Should we make accounts for students on P-Tech?
It's not necessary. I think it's important that you do the course first, understand the concept, and then teach your students using the resources given in the courses. P-Tech has very beautiful videos. Some of the videos even I utilize for my students, so you can do the same.
Is that a learning platform? Meenu ma'am, is that a learning platform, this P-Tech?
No, the courses, like you have Coursera, it's the same there. Okay. So the P-Tech AI Foundations course, I really like that. We did that in our Global Teachers Academy also. So the same link I have given here also.
Okay.
Here you are, P-Tech is actually short for Open Tech, and it is maintained by IBM. And but the thing is that if you're wanting to sign up over there as a student, then you have to use the school email ID, and then it has to be through a division. That is why, because when you were doing it through Global Teachers Academy, they had signed you guys up specifically as students over there. So student ka sign up will be a little difficult over there. In case you are a registered user with them, not with a free account, like a school sign up, then it is easy for your students to do it. Otherwise, for a teacher, you can sign up, but for them, otherwise for them, that is different. For students, it's going to be different. It's PTEC. In fact, you can look for mindsparklearning.teachable.com. That is also equally the same.
Ma'am, could you just type that in the chat box so that others can take it up from there?
यार वो फोन पे मेरे से लिखा नहीं आ रहा है. If you can type, it's Mindspark.
Mindspark
Learning. Yeah, Mindspark. I'll do that.
Mindsparklearning.teachable.com. Mindspark भी लिख के सर्च करोगे आ जाएगा.
So somebody has.
You can have 20,000 resources. It does not matter. At the end of the point, the factor remains that if you can gauge that enthusiasm in them, the same way we are exuberating that confidence right now. We will also. So can you see, guys, the kind of confidence this lady is, showing? Is glowing with all the confidence that see, I've done all this work. Why are you guys also not doing it? So same thing has to go with the children also.
Right.
Trust me, you tap the energy, you give them one. I just did linear, the project that I showed to you. I just sat and did one linear regression with him. He came back with random forest gain and logistic regression, and then deploying it on Heroku. I was super impressed. So that's what I'm saying. You give them one pinch and they'll work like anything.
Okay. So, any more questions for Meenu?
Mindspark, I can tell one thing, Shibi, one of their foundation courses, they will be giving you a PPT also. You can use that PPT while teaching Introduction to AI. That is a good PPT. When I started with AI, I did that course, and I used that PPT while teaching the first chapter. So it will be beneficial for teachers. So they will get that resource, and then of course they can add on to it.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Anyone else who wants to ask something? No? I think everybody wants to go and have a cup of tea. Okay, so we will not take it further. We always know that Meenu ma'am sessions are always short and crisp and quite effective. So let's keep it like that. And I would love to invite Harmeet ma'am to offer the vote of thanks or to propose the vote of thanks. Harmeet ma'am, over to you.
Don't you think I've spoken more than enough anyways? Anyways, guys, it's all, this is something that I share with a lot of people when I am somewhere in a session that, in 2014, we had become Google certified trainers. And I remember Jay Thomas had come from US, and he had said that, an educator is an effective educator if you become like Google. And the whole crowd was like, what does he mean by that? So he said, like, be like Google. The more you share, the better you become. So similarly, we cannot lock our intelligence and lock our learning in a safe and say that, we have that much amount of knowledge. You become more knowledgeable and wiser in the world if you share your thoughts with the people around you. And if you know something and you share it with people other than who don't know it, I think you've touched them in ways where you have actually tapped that positive energy back to yourself. So I would strongly recommend that, you be the educator you are, you keep shining the way you are, and keep, yesterday, Shibi had called you a torch bearer in this line. And I am so proud of you, my friend, that I know you, and I've never met you personally, but I have spoken to you, and I'm actually awed by the way you actually tell everybody that you took it up from my book. It's free marketing. I don't mind that. But anyways, it's thanks for everything. But I would say, with folded hands, Guru ko pranam. And thank you so much for all the intelligence and the hard work that you have done. And you have helped out all the people around us, like us. So learning never stops, whether it is a 16-year-old, whether it is a 30-year-old new joining school, or whether it is us. I don't want to tell how old I am. So exactly the fact remains with everyone. So keep shining, keep throwing the light across to everybody around you. And as Jay said, be like Google. Share more. The more you share, the better you become. Thank you very much for such an enlightening session. And stay safe. That's all I would say. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harmeet. Those were really profound words. I will remember this always, be like Google. And I think I'm going to make this my WhatsApp motto now. I'm going to put it in my WhatsApp status now. So be like Google, share. And yes, I will definitely connect with you again for the project. I would love to hear from you.
Anytime.
So yeah, so probably end of next month, probably then once you are a little.
Yeah, sure. We can sure do that.
And thank you so much, Shibi, for giving me this opportunity. This was one opportunity when I spoke to so many people, and of course, Harmeet, I got so many ideas to develop myself further also. So yes, very nice of you, Shibi, for giving me this opportunity and this platform.
It's completely our pleasure. So we leave you all with this thought of be like a Google, as Harmeet ma'am said, shine bright, share what you know with others. When you share what you have, the universe brings so many things back to you. Okay. And you are connected with a lot of people. The energy that you give out, the positivity that you give out. And when other people learn, they think about you, they thank you in their hearts, all that comes to you. So be like that, be a collective force. I have posted the feedback link. I would really appreciate if all the teachers who present here fill that feedback link so that, Meenu ma'am also gets to know, okay, where are the areas or which are the areas, because she is a trainer. So which are the areas that she can work on, and which were the areas that the participants were quite clear about, or is there anything that she needs to, improve about? That's a reflection. So when we say a feedback, when we say it was an excellent session, it was a wonderful session, nice session, those are all accepted with gratitude, but that will not help that person to grow, to make corrections, to change. So next time when she comes and presents something to us, if you give her a proper feedback, I am sure the kind of person she is, she will incorporate those feedbacks into her sessions. Wherever she goes, need not be with us, but wherever she goes, she will keep those feedbacks in mind. And that is why we say, please share your feedbacks. It would just take 2 minutes, no? Nothing much to write. You phone your mobile number and then just write about the session. Is there anything you want more? Okay, what are the topics you would like more, for us to cover? Things like that. So I'm not extending this meeting further. Thank you, Meenu ma'am, for accepting and coming again. We look forward to more sessions with you as we go ahead with our own learning. And teachers, as AI educators, as computer science educators, we have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders. Okay, the children that we are, helping to grow are the children who will become the future of the world. So if you give them the proper knowledge, the proper ethics and values of that particular concept that you are teaching, it will go a long way. Please do not consider your profession as a job. It is a vocation. It's a service. That is why we always respect our gurus. We always remember them with gratitude. So tomorrow, if there is a child who thinks of you with deep gratitude in their heart, you can think that as a teacher, your life was a success and you did what you could. So have a nice Sunday evening. We have a session from Venkat sir coming up on next Saturday. That is from morning 10 o'clock till 11:45, and he will be taking us through domains of AI. We look forward to that session. And if there are any more sessions that you would like to have, or if there are sessions that you would like to take for other educators, please do connect. We'll make sure that we will arrange for it. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you. Stay positive, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.